I'll see you guys in the dark.
When I was 23, I was renting my first place with my ex-girlfriend. We had dated for X amount of months in high school. It's been over 10 years since high school, and I can't remember how long it was. It just went badly because I was a douche and started talking to another girl. Anyway, my ex said she was over what happened when we were teenagers and was willing to give it another shot. So we have a date, and then several dates, and things are going very well. A month into our relationship, one night I'm at work on a late shift, and she calls me saying that she had gotten into an argument with her mother. They had gotten into some sort of domestic about something she got slapped and needed to cool off at my place. I get home, and turns out she was just moving in. I'm pretty laid back and wanted help with the rent anyways. So I'm like somewhat okay with it. I mean, I knew I was walking into a snake pit, but I didn't know I was going to be a viper pit. So we lived together for a whopping 2 months when things take a turn. She starts telling me she's insecure about me talking to girls. Then that changes to watching porn as well, which didn't work. I have control issues. We started fighting a lot, sometimes all night long. She starts cutting herself, saying it was all my fault. Ends up getting tetanus. Late phone calls asking where I am at work and who I'm with. I work late hours at an ambulance service. Things come to a head one night when my crazy ex tries to tell me looking at porn is the same as beating her. She starts screaming at me, bringing up all the cutting, and the doctor visits, claiming it's my fault. I get fed up and tell her to just move out. This pushes her off the deep end, grabs my gun that I keep for self-defense, tells me that she'll kill herself. I call the police. She leaves shortly afterwards, after she throws my loaded gun outside. I think, yay, it's over, but it really wasn't. So a few days go by without any incident. Crazy ex texts me saying she needs to give me her house key. I tell her no, to just throw it away. But she drives to my house anyway, leaves the key, and tapes a note to my door saying I'm mentally ill and need help, and she forgives me, blah blah blah. I stopped reading after the I need help part, and she keeps texting, asking if I read it. Even going as far as blaming her behavior on pregnancy, saying that the baby is mine, but she lost it due to the stress. So here I am, years down the road, married with a wonderful 2-year-old hellion with no regrets of leaving that crazy ex. I really hope that she gets the help that she desperately needs, and I hope that she never comes into contact with me again. For some information, I was a 24-year-old female, whom my now ex-boyfriend used to live with me. We had very different schedules, so I was often getting home from work and being home alone. Note, I had to take a bus back and forth to work every single night. So one night, I was getting off of work, and I was waiting for my bus to take me home. Right off the bat, I noticed a woman staring at me. I tried to pretend that I didn't notice her. As soon as the bus came, I jumped on and headed towards the middle of it. I took a mental note of where the creepy lady was sitting. She was 5 seats behind me. Halfway through the bus ride, I saw the lady move up, so she was only 2 seats away from me. Red flags immediately went off in my head. I looked around as nonchalantly as possible to see if there was anyone else sitting on the bus. Just my luck, there was no one else on this bus. Pretty soon my stop had come, and I stood up to get off, and the creepy lady also stood up. Crap, I thought. I quickly pulled my phone out and texted one of my friends where I was. Now, I know it was stupid, but I didn't think to call or text my boyfriend. Once off the bus, I put my phone away. Big mistake. I glanced around and saw the woman starting to follow me. Now, I live about a 7 to 8 minute walk from that bus stop. I picked up my pace. About 5 minutes from my house, I felt a tap on my shoulder. The creepy lady, "Are you Courtney?" "Yes," I answered shakily. A smile formed on her lips, and I noticed something glittering in her hand. I picked up my pace even more, and was almost jogging when I heard her call out, "Josh is mine! He is mine!" Josh was my boyfriend. I honestly at the time had no idea what the hell she was talking about. so I started to run. I ran all the way back to my house in record time, that crazy lady following me all the way. I got into my house and locked the door just as the lady pulled on the handle. I grabbed my phone and saw 3 missed calls from Josh and 5 text messages. He was freaking out, saying how one of his exes was threatening to come after me and that he was coming home early from work. But luckily, just as I finished reading those messages, I saw headlights pull into my driveway and my boyfriend frantically yelling at the woman, telling her to get the hell out or he would call the police. She ended up running into the woods. Later that night, we called the police, but of course, nothing came of it. So creepy lady, who was my boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, just stay away from me and Josh forever. So this happened over the span of around a year when I was 15 or 16. I'm 20 now, and it only recently been revealed to me how fucked up the situation really was. I was, obviously, still living at home at the time, but my sister, who was 7 years older than me, had moved out and was living with her now husband, their high school best friend, and some other dude that they met via one of those find-a-roommate sites. He was kind of the reclusive, nerdy type, much preferring to hide in his room watching Star Trek and playing computer games than actually hang out with the roommates. And the only person he ever really seemed to want to be around was his similar, shy, and nerdy girlfriend. For a little context to the story, at the time this happened, he was 28 and she was 24. They were both a little weird, but initially seemed entirely harmless. For ease of telling the story, and for saving on characters, the friendly roommate will be FR, weird roommate will be WR, and his weird girlfriend will be WGF. Now, my sisters and I have never really had the best relationship with our parents, and at this point, things were especially rocky. Our mother was dating a guy who was, to put it kindly, an abusive sack of shit who seemingly loathed me, and would find any excuse to go off on me. As a result, I spent a lot of time staying over at my sister's place. It was around the time I'd spend a lot of time there that WR and WGF started to really get strange. As I said earlier, the pair of them were always kind of odd. They only ever seemed to want to speak to each other, and would even go as far as to ignore anyone else who spoke to them. WGF was worse than WR for this by a mile. He would at least give you one-syllable responses most of the time. She had a kind of creepy habit of just blankly staring at you for a couple of seconds, then walking away if you asked her a question, or tried to engage her in a conversation at all. That isn't really the weird behavior, though. When I would stay over, I'd sleep on a futon in FR's office space, which was on the ground floor. It happened to be next to the downstairs bathroom, which for some reason WGF vastly preferred to the upstairs one. She would take long showers in the middle of the night, which is whatever. I'm a pretty heavy sleeper, and she wasn't a shower singer or anything like that, so I generally slept right through them. One night, however, I stayed up mega late doing revision and homework, and happened to be awake after she finished her shower. I was too absorbed in my task to really pay attention to anything else, but I definitely noted hearing the shower shut off, because that was my indicator of how damn late it was. Approximately 10 minutes later, I look up from my laptop, and there she is. I always kept the door open just a crack, because that room tended to get unbearably hot if I didn't. And she was standing there, outside the room, butt naked, watching me through the open crack in the door. I said her name, and asked if she was okay, which seemingly startled her because she walked away pretty sharpish. I convinced myself that in my over-caffeinated, sleep-deprived state, I'd imagined the whole thing and didn't mention it to anyone. Fast forward around a month, and I head over to my sister's one night to find FR kind of agitated about what he perceives to be a peeping Tom problem. He found fingerprints on the outside of his office window, in such a way that implies someone had been pressing up against the glass and looking in. The blind in this room was slightly too small for the window, so you could see in from outside if you looked through at the sides. And the room was on the front of the house, and the window was easily accessible from the street. He'd become concerned that some random passing pervert had been spying on him while he was having a private moment, so to speak, in his office. Or possibly a potential burglar had been sizing up the joint. The police were called, but as they didn't have any external CCTV at that point, no evidence could be provided, and ultimately not a lot could be done. To combat this escalating further, FR installed both internal and external CCTV on the house. This was installed while WR and WGF were away on holiday, and I guess everyone just forgot to tell them about it. Another couple months later, I go to my sister's to find WR's room empty, and informed that he has moved out. Of course, I asked why, and I was informed simply that he and WGF were a pair of fucking creeps, and others had collectively decided to kick them out. Apparently, her watching me through the office door was not a one-time incident. The CCTV footage showed that she regularly made a habit of standing and watching me through the cracked door, sometimes for as long as 20 to 30 minutes. I was just usually asleep when she did it. Not only that, but the fingerprints on the window had quite apparently been from WR, standing outside and watching me after I'd shower, and was hanging out in just a towel. Which was a less regular occurrence, but apparently was caught on camera enough times for it to be concerning. As if that wasn't weird enough in and of itself. I was recently hanging out with my sister and her husband, and he passed comment about how he wishes he'd told the full story at the time, so I could have chosen to press charges. I asked what he meant by that, and he revealed that not only had they both been secretly watching me, the CCTV also showed that they'd messed with food and stuff that I bought, including chips of him licking all of my apples, her spitting in my orange juice, even dumping regular cow's milk into my lactose-free stuff, which explained why I had a period of feeling really sick from nowhere. To top it all off, apparently when FR barged into their room to confront them about it, he not only found that several shirts I thought I had misplaced somewhere had been stolen by two of them, and literally hung up on their wall. She had done several drawings of me sleeping and writing a poem called Ode to My Name, whose contents I don't know, and I don't really want to know. Apparently FR gave them an ultimatum of, you have 2 hours to get the fuck out of this house and never contact Gingerbread Bloke or any of us again, or I'm calling the police. And they took the former option. They've never tried to contact me subsequent to this, but I feel sick thinking of what they were potentially planning. To my sister's 20-year-old something roommates who watched my teenage self sleep, I hope that you never come back to this place ever again.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos, and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.